Well, I'll just give a quick little intro while we're waiting because people are just piling in still. I'm Jennifer Dowse, and Sandy McCormick and I are going to be talking about the contest, the changes in the contest. And to be honest, some of the changes are really bringing us back to basics, back to the way it was originally, some of them. And I will apologize right now if my cat comes and aggressively puts themselves in my lap during the presentation. We are recording this, and we have a PowerPoint presentation that if you would like me to send you a PowerPoint presentation, it'll be a PDF, so it'll come through smaller. I also have some PDFs of check sheets that'll help you get your piece ready, because the contest doesn't go live until January 1st, but we're going to be putting up the scoring sheets is what I'll call them. We're going to be putting those up. They're really critique sheets, December 15th, so that you can look at those at your leisure. And it will also help you know what the readers are looking for when they're going over your piece. So.
And Jen, since we've had people come in after you started the first time, hold your questions until we're all done.
Thank you.
Take good notes so you won't forget what you wanted to ask.
Oh yeah, and of course, if you're the kind, it took me forever to be able to talk to people. We'll just say that. It took me a long time to be able to do that. And if you're like me, go ahead and use the chat window, and Pam is our moderator, and she can feed your questions to us at the end if you like, of this meeting. And then following this at 7 p.m., we're hoping to have like a 15-minute break between this and the holiday party. We're going to, take a little break, and at 7 p.m. we're just going to open it up to just have people come and hang out and talk to each other. We're going to have a lot of door prizes, and everything from things local, like one of our board members was able to bring us a gift card from Enzo's over in Ithaca, which is an Italian restaurant that makes their own noodles and smokes their own meat. So kind of a big deal. We're going to be giving away a fall conference, a winter conference, some ebooks. We're going to be announcing the winners of the 6-word story, which we're giving away 2 links to Nutcracker Sweets. I'm going to mess that up, so I'm just going to say that. Docu Dance, I think it is. And I might be forgetting things, but we'll talk about that during the holiday party, and just so you know what's going on. And we'll go ahead. And do you want to go ahead and get started, or do you want to keep waiting, Sandy? It's 39.
Keep reading.
What? Oh, waiting. Do you want to keep waiting for people?
Am I reading? Do we have a go, Pam? Ready to go? Boom. All right. Okay. So our first slide is a welcome to the unpublished writing contest. Stop it. And notice our little sub headings there. Rules and guidelines for a proposal and entering a contest, and why they are important. And this is something we're going to emphasize again and again. So it's important to follow the rules. And here's why. Okay. Jen has control. Oh, 8. Oh. Wait a second. Did you show, are we up yet? Or are we going to be showing us our pictures of who we are?
Where did it go?
I don't know. There it is. Oh my gosh. These newfangled things. So that's what both of us look like when our hair is combed, and and we were trying to look pretty. There's my book cover. Historical fiction is my genre right now. Currently working on another historical fiction and a fantasy manuscript. So, and Jen, she is the author of a handful of spicy romance short stories. that are published in anthologies. I suppose you could include a bibliography so people could read your spices. And currently working on a fantasy trilogy, a women's fiction manuscript, and 2 Christmas romances.
I keep busy.
You have too much time on your hands, Jen.
Too much.
So the biggie, one of the first things we ask of you in 8 of the categories of the 12 is to write a synopsis. Whoops, or the introduction. Well, note, people, I don't have control over this slide thing. Jen's doing that to me. So as we know, the world is changing around us minute by minute. And we have been doing a lot of looking at other contests and to see how it is that they run their business. And we have good knowledge, because we know people, of industry standards, what an agent or an editor expects when your manuscript lands in their office. Our rules and regulations are based on the average industry standards. Okay, so there are going to be a variety of different ways of approaching this, but the standard is there in general. And what's more is that reading the specific rules and regulations are what we are trying to emphasize, regardless of the standard. If someone says this is the way we want you to do it, then you need to do it that way. So industry standards and then our rules and regulations are similar. And our job here tonight is to help provide you some more information and then give you opportunities to ask us questions. So Jen, anything else you want to add to that?
No, beautiful.
So the synopsis that flashed by a minute ago, in categories 1 through 8, we ask that you write a synopsis. And as any writer can tell you, that is probably the most difficult of all tasks, is to boil down your work into 1 to 2 pages. It is a snapshot of your entire manuscript, and it should show that you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. These synopses, and in our contest, used by agents, editors, publishers, marketing departments to sell your work. It's how the body of your work gets communicated across to another person. It is different than a pitch, an elevator pitch, a query letter, or a back cover blurb. This year, it's new. We're allowing you to go to 2 pages if you need to. You don't have to. In all previous years, we have required a 1-page synopsis. Now we're expanding it to 2 pages. And this is to be included in your total 27-page limit. And this, again, we're talking categories 1 through 8. It needs to be double spaced, as does all of your manuscript. 1 side of the paper, please. 1 side of the paper, please. And it needs to be in 12-point Times New Roman or Times font. How to write a synopsis. Well, gosh, it's similar to a book report. Remember those? I know you do. I see some heads nodding. I know you're all muted, so you can't say, oh yeah, I hated those. So a book report or the good old essay. We have looked, we will be giving you a bibliography at the end of sources wherein you can find out about the specifics of writing a synopsis. But for example, in the book Save the Cat by Blake Snyder, and in, of course, The Writer's Journey by, oh, help me.
Oh, I apologize.
Help me. Like, oh, I've gone blank on his name.
Christopher Vogler.
It's the man. What?
Christopher Vogler.
Thank you. Whoa, I did that. Yeah. So those 2 books give you more than you need, but I would suggest that you take all of the advice that is given in either or both. as to how you write that synopsis. What are the elements that you need to include? We have in general found that adjectives take up space. So to look at your work and determine what adjectives, what descriptors you could take out, that's better. It needs to be written in your character's voice, your main character's voice. And it is to be done in the third person. And yes, you must include the ending. I don't know how many synopses I've read that have said, you'll have to read the book to find out what happens. No, no, no. The synopsis is to tell whomever you're pitching to or you're submitting to that you do have an ending. It's not going to be a surprise. We know what the beginning, the middle, and the end is. So please include the ending. Unlike book jackets. Remember, the book jacket is what you read like in the library or in a bookstore. And of course, it's not going to give away the end. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to buy the book. Okay, next page.
All right. So now this is the moment you've been waiting for. I'm kidding. Scoring. And you say, hi, welcome to the. Okay, so we're going to be making everything live. So everything that I am talking about right now, or that we are talking about right now, will be going live on December 15th. And the contest itself doesn't go live until January 1st, but we thought you would like to see the forms that the readers have been working on and will be working on when they're reading your pieces. And so that's what we will put live on December 15th for you to see. And I also, like I mentioned earlier, some of you are new to this. I will have the checklist available. So if you put your name and email in the chat, I will send you not only the PDF of the slides, so in case you missed any, there you go. But I will send the checklist to you for categories 1 through 8 and 9 through 11. Category 12 is another animal, and we'll get to that at the end, but it is not officially a part of the PNWA contest. It is 5x5 Productions contest, and they are like our sistering with us for this.
Whoops, back one.
Back one.
Really important. Following the rules and guidelines, Jen.
It very much will affect your score. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that too. So the maximum score possible when you're entering the contest is 100. Very familiar, right? Just like school. And so the rules that we're going to call out to you today, they are so important to us that if we find one rule infraction will take 10 points off of the top of your score. And if there are 2 or more rule infractions, then it's 20 points. We're not going beyond that. So 80 points, it's very slim chance that you would final with that score. Not saying it hasn't happened, but there's a very slim chance. So just keep that in mind. And these rules aren't hard, I promise you. When you see them, you're going to go, oh, really? Okay. So, and where you can find it on December 15th. And trust me, if you're getting the newsletter, or even if you give me your email in the chat, you will know when this goes live on December 15th. And I will tell you exactly, I'll put a link in the newsletter and everything, where to find the information about the contest that goes live on January 1st. Which brings us to the rules and guidelines. So I went ahead and put up a couple of images in case you guys, this is from a Mac, and I apologize if those of you that are on Word, but there are very similar windows in your computer that's going to show you how to do the layout of the reduced, or how to change your margins. Don't mess with your margins. The normal traditional margins on Word is 1 inch on all sides, and that's what it needs to be for the contest. One thing that isn't normal is the font. It is on mine because I said it that way. So Times or Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced, 1-inch margins, single-sided, indent first line of each paragraph. And I know we're being redundant, but it needs to be spoken. And so indent first line, we'll go into that in a little bit more in a minute. Now, these are also just basic things to remember. I know we have a picture book category, but we don't want any pictures or drawings. We don't want them in any of the entries. This is a writing contest. We are helping advance your writing. We need, so for the longest time, I couldn't understand why one of the rules was why we need your category number and title in the upper right-hand corner and your page number in the bottom right-hand corner. It happens that when people are reading your work, that's what they're going to. That's what they can see when they're reading it, is on the right-hand side. So I couldn't figure that out until I've actually been working the contest for 4 years. So that's what it is. It's to help the readers. And to be honest, a lot of the rules here, if your work, all of your work looks exactly the same, you all followed the same rules, it takes away a lot of the, it's easier to grade everything exactly the same if everything looks the same. I guess that's the way to put it. Your contest fee is non-refundable. And once you've submitted an entry, that's it. You cannot resubmit it again, as in ask us to replace it. The entry you send us is the entry that's going into the contest. That is new as well. One of the things we didn't think we talked about on here was that we're not disqualifying entries anymore, or at least this year. We're not disqualifying entries, and that was something we've done in the past, and we've taken that away. So you're going, and thus the need to adjust for the people who aren't following the rules, is because nobody's getting disqualified any longer. And as Sandy was saying, it's categories 1 through 8 are a little bit different in that they're 27 pages and the synopsis. But what's important here is that page 1 is the synopsis, page 1 and 2, if that's what you're doing. I highly encourage you to try and get your synopsis down to 1 page, because it means you can give us more of your entry. That means we'll get 26 pages of your entry of your work, of your baby. If you do 2 pages, that's fine, but you're down to 25 pages that you're giving us, and I'm pretty sure you want to give us as much as you can. But all of the pages, including the synopsis, have to follow the guidelines. And I know that's, again, redundant, but needs to be said. So following the synopsis, either your prologue or your chapter 1 must begin. 9 through 11 are just different in that they're 14 pages. There's no synopsis, and it has to be a whole piece of work. Whereas the prior, so your short story that you want to submit is 20 pages, that's not going to work. That would be heartbreaking to bring it down to 14 pages. So maybe do you have another piece that is 14 pages or close to it that you could edit and get down to 14 pages so you could submit it. Now, category 12, will you speak to that, Sandy?
I will speak to that. 5x5 Productions is going to be the administrators for category 12 screenwriting. It is sponsored and run by them. It has different rules. As you can imagine, a screenplay would have different rules than our mainstream science fiction and so on. Those rules are significantly different, so you do need to check them out. December 15th, we'll put them up on the website, their rules and guidelines. And again, please pay attention to them. Please make yourself a checklist and say, have I done this right? Have I done this? Have I done this? And you'll be better off and pleased with yourself for having done that and not getting 20. Well, that they may or may not take points off for not following the rules. However, I wouldn't take a chance. I would follow their rules.
Yeah, I know for a fact if one of the rules isn't followed, that even if you were one of the finalists, that they will take you off of the finalist list.
Yeah.
So first they decide which ones they like. This is what I understood from the last time they did it, was they put them in the, in the order that they liked them. And then they asked questions. Well, did they know they were supposed to submit a full piece? It's like, yes, they did. It's like, okay, well, then they can't final. So, I mean, they're pretty strict too. So we wanted to talk about how to tell what genre you're writing. So, Sandy, I'll let you.
Welcome to the. Get more coming in the door. We could go on for hours, or at least a full hour on genre. Do your research. Look at bookstores. Go into the bookstores and look at the science fiction categories and see what's being written, who's writing it, what does the book jacket say. See if that matches with your concept of, say, science fiction. Read in the genre that you are writing, and is that a similar kind of work to what you're presenting to us? And of course, we will have a winter writing intensive about genre so that we can answer your questions and help guide you. Because in every year that I've done this contest, we've had people who did not understand their genre and were entering anyway. And my readers and my chairman go, well, this doesn't belong here. What do we do with it? So it would eliminate that question if you knew exactly the genre you're writing and the requirements. There are very specific requirements for each genre, so be sure that do your research. And you can Google all of this, and that of course is not the definitive answer, but find at least 3 sources that agree with one another. And again, read in that genre. You've got plenty of time to put a few books underneath your reader's belt between now and our launch. So I'd highly recommend that you do so.
Yeah, and okay, so our resources will cover a few places for you to look for genre. But a word to the wise when you're using Google, and I'm sure you all know this, that not everybody is going to give you the correct information. So consider your source. When you're,
well, like I said, don't just Google once and be happy. Find as many different resources as you can and see if there are common threads, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're pretty subjective. Genre, especially mainstream literature. And sometimes, okay, romance isn't subjective, but people think it is. So you're going to have some opinions, I'll just say. These are just some of our sources. And again, I'm happy to email these to you. So don't even feel like you need to jot it all down, because that would be crazy. That would be a lot of work for you. But we went ahead and brainstormed and got together some of our books. I think I heard it was Bob Degoni who uses the Save the Cat for his synopsis. And that would be one of the reasons we brought that up there. But at that same time, The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler also has beats. So everybody has their own way to do it, and none of them are wrong. And just some more that are there. And that is it for now. I love seeing all of you. Does anybody have any questions?
Pam, did you get
Oh,
any?
you can unmute yourselves.
Pam, did you get any questions in advance?
I did, but I can't. Oh, here we go. I did, but before I do that, I actually in the chat room, it was really cool. I want to give some shout outs because we have some conference success stories. So let's shout out for Kit Bradley. This is all through the PNWA conference. She announced that an editor of Wild Rose Press publisher just asked for a full manuscript. Woo, very good. Congratulations, congratulations. And then Susanna said that thanks to the PNWA pitch sessions, she has now a great agent for her adventure memoir. Again, awesome, guys. Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing that with me. So that's very, very cool. Okay, so now we've got some great questions. The first question is from Eva is, do you let the author know that the lost points for not following the rules? If they've lost points for not following the rules?
Yes.
Okay.
So
When do you let them know that?
When the critique forms come back.
Oh, correct. Okay, so yeah, when you get your critiques, you will obviously get a critique. They will tell you, they'll answer each of these questions that we will share with you on December 15th. And they're going to let you know if one of the rules wasn't followed or more at that time. Maybe you're thinking about the score. And at this time, we don't readily provide the score, but this year I'm making a point to keep them ready and available. So after the conference, you have to know that we're very, very in need of a break. So after the break, I would be happy to send you the scores after the conference.
Okay, and I have a question that says romance is never subjective. So what this actually does emphasize is that you really do need to be very fully aware of what genre, and that includes literary genre you're writing in. We're going to be having a retreat workshop in January that'll be talking about genre and what each genre represents, what it is and what it isn't, crossover genres, etc. So yes, be very careful about doing your genre. And what is really why this is so important is that when you're pitching your book to an agent or a publisher, you need to know what you're writing, basically. Okay, so the next question is, can you explain what you mean by write your synopsis in the main character's voice?
Do you want me to talk about that, Sandy? The look?
Jump in. I'll jump in when you're done.
Okay, so you kind of have a feel, no, you should have a feel for your main character after you're done writing your book. You should have an idea of what their life views are and how they see the story. So when you're writing the synopsis, you're writing it how they view the story. So as a very bad example, you could have a main character who doesn't know that everything, they're very negative. They don't see anything in a positive light. But they have all these really great things going on around them and they can't tell. And so the synopsis would reflect that. Now I'm going to say that if this is super hard for you, just write the synopsis, just write it. And then think about the adjectives that your character might use to describe things.
But then don't use, remember, we
right, because a lot of people put like 3 adjectives in a sentence in synopsis. I've seen that a lot. And if you could cut it down to maybe a couple per paragraph instead, you'd be better off. Like there's themes going on in your novel, and that also is something your character is learning as they go through. Also great to put in, and that kind of gives them, whoever is reading your synopsis, a feel for the book. Did that answer that question?
And you're going to be accustomed to writing in your main character's voice because you've just finished your manuscript in your character's voice. So it would not be much of a stretch to write that synopsis in that same voice. It's giving your reader a taste of the whole package. You taste a package, I guess so.
Very cool. Next question, how are readers chosen? Can you submit, and it's two-part, and can you submit and be a reader in a different category?
Sandy.
Yeah, to your last question, yes, you may submit, but you would not be a judge or a reader in that category in which you submitted. As you could understand, little conflict of interest there. Readers are chosen by, we have a pretty good army, shall I say, of people who have volunteered for us in the past. We ask that they not necessarily be writers, but readers, and even particularly readers in the genre in which they are volunteering to read. We make sure that they are, you know, we fingerprint them. No, we don't. We make sure that they are that they're people who know what they're talking about. And again, we are working from a list that we've had of people in the past, and people we've sometimes put out a call for readers, in which case we have a dialogue with them and do as much vetting as we can, just to make sure that they're going to be knowledgeable and fair.
And they will be every year. We ask them to go through the points of what a good critique is. And this year we're adding to that because we're going to be doing monthly meetings where the first part is, of course, some writing knowledge. And then we'll be breaking into critique groups. It's been a popular request over the years. And so anyhow, the readers, we're asking them to come at least for that part where Pam will be walking them through. If any of you have been a student of Pam's, you know her philosophy on critique and how important it is to all of us, actually, all of us here at the PNWA. And so that is the guidelines we'll be walking them through. So you too can see what they are if you come to our critique meetings.
And that's something new, like Jen said, we have added a workshop for those who wish to be judges, critiques.
So this question was answered, but I think we will do it to the whole group. Where can I find the list of the categories?
On the website, Jen.
Yeah, it's currently not up. So what I can do, because we pulled everything down for people were still trying to enter after after the contest was over. So we pulled everything down, and on December 15th, we're putting them all back up again. But why don't I just add that to that PDF that I'm going to send you when you put your name and email address in the chat? I will make sure I send that to you, and then I'll make sure that the website is updated next week with that information as well.
But, if for that person who asked the question, we have mainstream, I'm going in order, category 1. Historical is number 2. Romance is the 3rd category. Mystery and thriller, the 4th category. Science fiction, fantasy, the 5th category. Middle grade, the 6th category. 7 is young adult, and 3rd is memoir. And those are the first 8 that we talked about. Those are the ones that require a synopsis, and 27 pages total. Categories 9 is short story. 10 is children's, either picture book or chapter book. And 11 are adult short topics. And those 3 categories are the 14-page maximum and no synopsis required. And then the 12th category is screenwriting. So that gives you a quick list of the 12 categories.
In prior years, there's been a word count maximum for electronic entries instead of in addition to page count. Does that still stand?
That's why we were telling you that we have new requirements this year. We only have a page count, no word count.
Great. If a book has been accepted for publication but has not been published, could it be entered in the unpublished category?
I know my opinion on that, Pam.
It's contracted, guys. So you're published. That means that if it's ready for publication, that means it's contracted. So it's no longer, That's pretty dicey, pretty gray. So I would, if it was, I would say no.
That's my opinion as well. I'm pretty strict about it. If it's published anywhere on the internet, readers could potentially find your work. I know it's popular for some authors to publish the first few chapters of the books they're writing. Wattpad, some people write on Wattpad and they just write their story there and then they pull it down and start working on it to publish it. If anybody can read your story before it's entered into the contest, in my opinion, it shouldn't be entered in the contest because you are muddying the water. We try to make it 100% blind. Nobody knows who you are. This is a completely anonymous entry. That's our goal.
That's good.
Very good.
Well said.
So this person said, I received 11 requests for pitches from last year, 2019, but then received no responses, not even acknowledging receipt, which is horrible. I would love you to send us those agents and editors so we can follow up on that. But the question was, so after COVID, is it too late to follow up? Life's been so, yeah, et cetera, et cetera. And I would just jump in and say, absolutely. So,
Yes.
It's not
okay.
too.
And there's someone just offered, Kit Bradley offered that there's something called Romancing the Beats for romance guidance. So thank you very much, Kit.
She gave that to me. I mean, she told me to read it and I'm reading it.
Oh,
I'm
very
excited.
cool. Okay. So,
Isn't that really useful?
It's so useful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was given to me by Shauna Cullen is her writing name. I don't think she's a member yet, but she's my writing buddy without whom I certainly wouldn't have learned Nano this year or finished the book that the editor wants to see. And she said, let's find out if your book is romance. Read this, see if it fits.
Nice. That's gorgeous.
It's not, it's science fiction. Okay.
That's the old doing your homework, Pitt. Yeah, do your homework.
So we have another question. Do you want to know the twist in the synopsis?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
If the story alternates between 2 points of view, how would you suggest this synopsis is structured?
Oh, that's a good one for Pam.
Well, I could give my 10 cents. I've only I don't feel, okay, 2 points of views I think is doable. But whose story is this? Is it, like I have one of my stories, I have a man and a woman that the story alternates between them, but whose story is it? And then the more I dive deeper into the writing of the story, I begin to realize it's the woman's story. So she's the one I'm going to write the synopsis from. But then if we're making it even more complicated, I've had a couple people enter the contest with 8 main characters. That is what I am unsure of how to handle it.
So the rule of thumb usually is the person who has the most to lose is the main character of the story. Synopsis these are very short, 1 to 2 pages. You need to get, the conflict, you need to get the character development. I usually write in multiple points of view, but I always only write the synopsis from one character's point of view. A synopsis can be also like a book report. You can also, if you wanted to put at the end, this is multiple points of view, you certainly can. But basically what they're looking for in a synopsis is they want to look to see if you have a story. If you have a good solid beginning, middle, and end, if you have enough meat in that synopsis to actually carry you through 60,000, 80,000, 100,000 words. So that's what they're really looking for. They're looking for that. And the more characters you throw into a synopsis, the more confusing it becomes. So that's but we're also going to be having some workshops on synopsis this retreat because it's so important. And there's also, we're hoping that there's going to be an agent she might be even be able to look over some of these synopsises for people so that you can have, a pass before you submit. So that's where our goal is, to try to make it possible for you guys to succeed. Okay, yes, and the question is, yes, the critique groups at the retreat are going to be all virtual. Everything's virtual. Okay, I've got 22 more messages. I've got lots to go through. Okay. Okay, will the critique workshops be available for non-contest readers? So these critique groups are at the retreat, writers retreat, winter retreat,
Oh, but we also have our monthly ones.
right? So, and yes, the only caveat is that you have to be a PNWA member for the critique groups. Okay. Okay, so we still have people coming in. That's pretty cool. Okay. Is there a way that the 3 winners pieces could be seen, shared once the contest is over, or a portion of it, first chapter?
The well, at the physical conference, we have the finalists read, if they wish, a few pages. And we do have all finalists on public view. But unfortunately, our places are limited now. They are all available at the cottage. I would love to be able to print those and put them online, but I don't know about that. I don't know about the efficiency of that, but we do make them available. Yes.
And it should be better as COVID begins to recede, that we have them available physically. And thank you for the question. We'll talk about it and see if there is some way we can make them available digitally after the conference. We don't know, but we'll look into it.
Can you enter again if you didn't place and have revived since?
Yes. Short answer.
If
We've
anyone can read the work, does that include critique groups?
I'm not sure if I understand that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure I do
I
either.
wonder if that
So,
means, like, the whole critique group evaluates, and
the person's Jenny. Jenny, could you ask your question? I'm not sure exactly what.
Yeah, it goes back up to a while ago when you were talking about if it had been like anywhere online where people could generally read it, then it couldn't be submitted as a work, so to the contest. But does that include like a closed critique group?
Oh, no. That's
No.
fine. Read it to your critique
Yep.
group. Please
Critique.
read it to your critique
Fine.
group.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so Jen, also good news for Jen. If she says that she's received 5 full manuscript requests post PNWA Fall Conference and for 2 different books. So, hey, thank you for sharing your news, Jen. This is awesome. I love all this. This is very, very cool. Okay. Let's see, with so few pages allowed in the contest, if we have a framing story that is freestanding, should we leave that out of the submission? I'll read it again. With so few pages allowed in the contest, if we have a framing story that is freestanding, should we leave that out of the submission?
Who would the speaker please unmute yourself and help us?
That's Jenny, yeah.
I apparently am not writing clear questions tonight.
No,
So
it's
sorry.
okay.
No.
It's me, it's not you.
So my framing story is like the first chapter, and then it's kind of intermixed in the first act, and then it doesn't come back again until the end. But if there's only a couple pages, you won't really see the main story arc.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So your synopsis should
Yeah.
be able to encompass all of that.
Right.
So they're going to read your synopsis first because it's the page 1, right? So they're going to read the synopsis, and then they're going to read your, say, 26 pages of your work. And I know this sounds unbelievable, but there is somewhat of a formula for a reader, any reader who picks up a book, when they expect things to happen. And if you, in 25 pages, 26 pages is enough to see if you are hitting the plot points where they need to be hit. So it may not feel like a lot, but it's enough.
Okay, so the question is, you want the first 25 pages, even if the last page 27, including synopsis, ends in the middle of a thought or a sentence. I'm just going to jump in. Do not end it in the middle of a thought or sentence, because that will not help you at all. So you make sure that that ends.
You have to stop short of your 27 max. Then so be it, but don't stop in the middle of a sentence or a complete thought.
Yeah, and one thing that can help you with this, and it sounds, it's almost the same advice as with the synopsis, is look and see if you're being too generous with your adjectives, your justs, your ifs. You know, there's words that everyone as a writer, that you end up using many times, and sometimes too much. So look at those pages and be critical about what word you're using too often. If you're over adjecting, my new word, for and then maybe and formatting. Formatting is everything. Turn off that God, I can't think of what it's called, but I will share it with you in the PDF. It's on there. If you make it so that you can have the most words possible on your page, basically it there's this function in Word that'll cut off a sentence and push it off to the next page, and then you will have lost critical sentence space on that page. And sometimes unchecking that, for a lot of the people I've talked to, has solved all their problems by removing that. So there are ways to do it.
So if I may, Bob, ask you a question. You're very successful, and we love all of your books, but you've also entered a lot of contests. Do you have any advice for people entering contests?
Yeah, well, my advice is always keep it simple, stupid. You know, and that's aimed at me, not at anybody else. The one thing that you can do with a synopsis, which is really difficult, and a query letter, is confuse the reader. And the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to confuse the reader. I've always subscribed to the theory, which is that you tell the protagonist's story. That is who the story is supposed to be about. The story is supposed to be about a protagonist, and the protagonist is on a journey. So I have never had to describe Charles Jenkins, for instance. But if I had to, I mean, just off the top of my head, I could probably do it. Charles Jenkins is a 60-year-old former CIA agent living in isolation on Camano Island when his former CIA station chief in Mexico City calls him back into service to go into the Soviet Union to find a mysterious woman called the Eighth Sister. When Jenkins arrives in Moscow, he realizes that nothing was as represented to him, and he is running for his life. I mean, I've never done that before. That's the first time I've ever done it. But the simplicity of it is, you ask, who is your protagonist? What is your protagonist? Where is your protagonist? What has your protagonist been tasked with doing? And why is it going to be difficult? What stands in your protagonist's way? If you can do that, and you can do it in a compelling way, you're going to get an agent that says, well, let me see the first 50 pages. And if you can write 50 compelling pages, you're going to get an agent that says, let me see the rest of the book. I actually think it's a little bit of a negative when an agent says initially, well, let me see the whole book. Because to me, that's not necessarily an agent saying, I really like the idea. It's an agent that's sort of almost copying out and just saying, well, let me look at the whole book and see what I think of it. You should be able to put together a compelling synopsis or a compelling query letter on who your protagonist is, because that is the person we're going to spend 400 pages with. I mean, I've had a lot of people that have said, well, what if I have 2 protagonists or 3 protagonists? What if I have a lot? Well, then you're not writing to the market. You know, that's not generally what books are about. And you really need to go back and analyze who is your main character and what does your main character want and why can't they have it? Because that's what stories are about. And I think that if people focus on that particular issue, they can write a pretty compelling synopsis about who that character is. And I've often said, Pam, when I've taught this, I've often said that this is really a game. And the game is to stay in the game as long as possible. And you're going to get bumped from the game the minute you start to confuse your target audience. And that applies to people like myself. The minute a reader is reading my novel and they start to get confused and lost and they don't know what the character wants, they're going to put the book down. And that's exactly what you don't want as an author. And that's exactly what you don't want when you're trying to get an agent to pick you up or an editor to pick up your book.
Bob, thank you so much. And everybody should write down these words of wisdom. What does your character want and why can't they have it? I mean, that is perfect. Just tattoo that someplace or post that someplace. And that would, I think if you keep that in mind. And so thank you so much, Bob. That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and we're getting nice job, Bob. So we're good. So we also have a question, going back to questions, because you guys are coming in. What is the deadline? We've got two deadlines, actually.
Yeah, we're doing it a little different this year. Opening the contest January 1st, which is why we're prepping you now, because it doesn't open until January 1st. But January 1st to the 31st, we're having our standard 37 member fee. My goodness, $52 non-member fee. Did I do that right? And then February 1st to March 31st, the fee is going up. It's going to be, I'm doing this from memory, guys, so I apologize if what I show you is what comes out is different. I believe it is $47 for members and $62 for non-members.
$10 more.
Yes, $10 more. It goes up $10. That was easier to say.
There it is. Easier to say. Yeah.
So then postmarked. Okay, so for those of you who are entering via paper, it has to be postmarked by March 31st. And people who are entering digitally will need to enter by midnight on the 31st.
Very cool. Next question, if our first 26 pages includes a chapter break, are we expect to have the next chapter start halfway down the page like the standard manuscript format, or is that a waste of space?
Great question. I think it's a waste of space.
It's a waste of space. I second that.
Don't waste that space, guys. Don't, I mean, when you're submitting to an agent and an editor, absolutely. That's, gosh, I can't even say, I know some of them want you to do the, is it like 1/3 page down, start a new chapter? So that is how I write it. But for this contest, if you want to get the most words in, don't do that 1/3 down. Give yourself some more words.
Very cool. So does anyone have any more questions? I actually think we've got, or did I miss somebody? I could have missed someone too. That's easy. Could have done that as well. You can speak. Okay, I just,
Oh,
any questions, any writing questions? We have some experts here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Quiet.
Well,
Okay, someone says, can you talk more about I don't know what the is. So.
Retreat.
Oh, retreat. Retreat. Very good. Very good. Okay. Yes, let's talk about the retreat.
Okay.
The retreat for
January retreat. January retreat, which is 30 and 31st.
Mm-hmm.
And what we decided to do, this is kind of a combination of things that we kind of were just talking about after the large conference. And we thought, we don't really have anything in the winter, and that's when people are really hunkered down and writing. And so we thought this would be kind of to have a real short, small one. There's no agents or editors, so there's no stress of pitching. It's just going to concentrate on basically on the craft of writing, on making sure that people can be in critique groups. So we're going to also offer a lot of time for critique groups. You can have, there's 3 different types. Right now, there's going to be one where it's going to be a standard 90-minute with about 5 or 6 people and bringing about 3 pages to help getting feedback on. We're going to also have one that's 3 hours, so it's a longer critique. And they're going to also offer a one-on-one critique with half-hour one-on-one with someone if you want to just have a private one-on-one critique with a published author. So, but then we're also going to have a lot of concentrated workshops to help you really, both improve your writing, revise your writing, and get it ready to either send off proposal off to an agent or publisher, enter the contest, or get it ready to publish if you would like to indie publish. So, and we kept it at $99 because we're not bringing in any agents and editors, and that's usually one of the highest costs we have. And this is going to be all virtual, so you can attend in your jammies.
Yeah, it's a really comfortable one, and we're going to touch on all the major, the owie points of getting your manuscript ready, or even your short story or your article or your memoir, whatever it is that you're writing. The whole goal is to help you get it ready to submit, period. No matter whether you're going for an anthology or a magazine or a publisher or self-publishing. Yeah.
Okay, so questions. What if we get an offer on the text during the contest time? If you've already submitted and then you get an offer, that's fine. It's just if you already have that contract before you enter, then that's not fine. But if it's you've entered and you get the contract, then that's been good for you.
And then it would be up to whoever picks it up, because we've had this past year, oh my goodness, so many people had beautiful luck and had to withdraw their entry because they got published like hot. They were like, we're going to get this out. So that was good news.
It's very good news. So the 2020 finalist here, she said she had so much fun and an honor to be a finalist. Curious about the 2021 finalists could expect that wasn't. Okay, curious what 2021 finalists could expect that wasn't available this year due to online formatting. And I'm going to say, we don't know. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm assuming that it's going to be in person, but right now it's hard to tell.
And in past conferences, you just have your finalist, your little ribbon on your badge. I'm trying to remember.
There's a lot of as a finalist, if everything was normal, you'd obviously get a ribbon on your badge. You would be able to, when you're pitching to an agent or publisher, they could see that you're a finalist. Because you're a finalist, all the manuscripts that are finalists are sent to agents and editors. So there's always a chance that an agent will come up to you and say, by the way, I read, I was the judge in your category. I'd love to see your manuscript. Those things can happen. Then if you're one of the top 3 winners in a category, then of course you're invited to the after party with the agents and editors. So it's more of a celebration because it's in person. And we're hoping that we can go back to that format. It might be a hybrid kind of a situation with a lot of social distancing. We're not going to know until the first of the year really how that's going to play out. Let's see. Okay, if you have an agent but not yet a publisher, can you participate in the contest? And I'm going to say yes. It's actually the piece about getting an actual contract
with the publisher.
With the publisher. Has the conference dates been announced? Yes, they're January. They're September 16th through the 19th. And at the DoubleTree. So we're, but it'll, yeah. So I would love very much for it to be at the very least a hybrid. So
Yeah, and pay attention to your newsletters because I am trying to be very mindful about what I put in the newsletters. And so if you guys ask me questions via email, know that I'm thinking about you when I'm writing the newsletters and I'm trying to answer all the questions on them. So.
and yes, it's the Tukwila DoubleTree. The CTAC. So then what happens if I get a publisher after I submit to the contest? After you submit, that's fine. It's just before.
And again, it would be up to the publisher whether you could stay in the
Correct.
contest.
Correct. What a great problem to have.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, and on the retreat, if you are thinking about going to the retreat in January, we will have to cap that one. So because we want to make sure we have enough people to organize the critique group, so it won't be unlimited. So if you are interested, I would sign up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, especially the one-on-one critiques are filling up fast. So you want to make sure you get a hold of that before it goes away. All right.
Are
Any
people
more
still
questions?
coming? You guys have given great questions.
this was
Did we miss anything?
really excellent. We have 99 plus people here.
Oh my gosh.
Woo!
Wow.
They're here for the party though.
They're here for the wine.
They're done. They're done with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry that we don't have a normal in-person party this year, guys.
Maybe we'll have a spring party.
Maybe.
I know. So the question is, if you have a novella or a novelette, would you enter it like a novel?
Oh, in the contest.
Yeah.
What is the person who's asking is
It.
Okay, I can't tell who that is. It depends on what your definition of that is. Because I have seen so many definitions lately that they're 40,000 words, 50,000 words.
25,000.
Yeah, I've seen them all over the place. So I would feel that, to be honest, in the contest, nobody's going to know how long your novel is when you're submitting your entry. I know Wild Rose Press, as an example, when I was looking at the requirements, that they tend to accept that they want a full-length novel to be 40,000 or more, but that's a small novel. But we're not going to know how long your work is because we're not asking for your word count. So
here's something else, though, is for Wild Rose Press specifically, and I know because I'm published with them, is that they have different series of that actually have different requirements. They have one series that the minimum word count is 7,500, a short novella. They have other series and other books that can be as small as 25,000. The 40,000, why it's important to that is if it's 40,000, then it can be in print. Anything under 40,000 will not be available as a print book. So that's where that lies. So so novellas these days are all over the place in terms of so I would think that you could absolutely enter your novella as a book.
And think about it, you're getting critiques on this. So maybe one of these critiques, one of the words of advice that comes through might spark your imagination and it might become a longer book. It's happened to me. It's like, oh, you're right. That was a great idea.
But for the contest, it's, you're going to need the synopsis. You're going to need the 26 pages of copy. So, it doesn't matter the length of the piece. The contest requirements are the same.
Yeah. And I would almost say, we've had people ask the question a lot, does the piece need to be complete before I enter it into the contest? Yes and no. If you feel the first 26 pages of your novel are a very, very good representation of your synopsis, and you didn't finish the story, and you feel confident that you've edited it and that you've had feedback on it already, and you feel like it's good and ready to go, I would say, again, we're not going to know you didn't finish it when you submit it. But at that same time, it's up to you, because I know that I have written more than one book all the way from beginning to end, and then wrote the synopsis, and then realized that my story really began. Don't even laugh. At the end, my book began at the end of that book that I wrote. So
All that work. Yeah. But it's good. You had to get there.
I had to get there.
We had to get there.
Okay.
So how many people did we have at this little meeting?
I
We were 86 at one point.
Oh my
showed
gosh.
29 plus here. So,
I think we're down to 46 now. I'm not sure.
oh, we just talked them out of here. They're gone.
Well, we answered all their questions.
That's
And
a
this
good-
has been recorded, so this is going to be, that's great that you'll have that reference.
well, and this is like the tip of the iceberg. We're just letting you know that there's a lot more to come that will benefit you as an entrant. So keep an eye on the newsletter and email Jen for any questions.
So we have the question, where can they find the recording? When will it be posted?
Okay, so traditionally we have our videos from our meetings available to members only. This is the exception, and we're currently working on where to host it. I believe it will be YouTube at this point in time, and we will share the link as soon as. I'll be honest with you and tell you, one of the board members is it's his forte to edit videos, and he would prefer that we have him edit it before we send it out. So he would not approve of me just plopping it up there. So we're going to get it. We'll have him edit it, and then I'll make sure he does it, because he is in the office behind me. So I'll make sure he does it as fast as possible, and I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll put it in the newsletter. And one more time, for those in the back, if you put your name and email in the chat, I will go ahead and pull that down and send you a link. That was a really great question. And I will send you a link for the video. I will send you a link I will give you the PDF, all PDFs, 3 PDFs. 1 for the PowerPoint and 2 for the checklist for your entry. And is there any interest in the room? I don't know how I'm going to know the answer to this, but is there any interest in the room for hearing about the screenwriting contest as well, that I could just put that out there? Yes. Okay. So I could send that out too. That's perfect.
Remember, everybody, stay for the holiday party, because we're giving away cool stuff. I have another question. Can a short story collection be submitted, or only a story?
Good question.
14 pages. So
Yeah, we don't do collections for the, here's the cat. I told you he'd come. Hi. We don't have, that is one of our genres, short story collection, but you can enter one of the short stories. That's 14
Right.
pages.
14 pages. That'll stop you right there. So
I just heard that Seattle Nanowrimo party is also happening tonight, and they want to know who has a better party.
we
Us,
do.
of course.
do.
It's a contest.
That's right. They did start their party. So
Uh,
isn't theirs going like right now? And our official party doesn't start until 7. So. And I'm sitting here cuddling in my blanket.
turn the heat up.
So the question was, I wonder if I might be able to find out who the agents were, if any, for my manuscript. I was in mainstream This year, unfortunately, the agents and editors wanted to remain incognito. So that doesn't always happen, but we do respect it when they do say that. So I'm sorry. So Kit says, I won Nano with sequel to the book whose manuscript was requested. Oh my gosh, Kit, you're rocking it.
Good
Very
job.
cool.
Okay, you guys can unmute yourself and talk. It's okay.
Yeah, you guys
Because
want
all
to
the-
just join in?
All the knowledge, current knowledge is out on the
Yeah.
table already.
Right.
A strange and wonderful thing. This is Kit. A strange and wonderful thing happened to me this year during Nano, which is I discovered it is in me to approach this as a job. No, seriously, I've been a mom and I've had other full-time jobs for years, but all I've ever wanted to do for real is write. And somehow this year I got a system in place. I got consistent about writing every single day, and suddenly everything is happening at this amazing clip. I love it, but it was a big surprise to me, and I can't explain why this year suddenly it worked.
Well, good job.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Okay,
Also, are we allowed to drink at your party?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
you may.
yeah, I'm drinking seltzer. Bring it on.
I found that everybody's complaining about COVID and how awful it is. We're all stuck in. I regard it as just one long writing retreat.
There you go.
That's good. I think we're not going to start. I'm actually going to look at the chat window right now. And does everybody feel like they got their name and email address in there if you're interested in hearing more? Should I go ahead and pull it down? I want to pull it down before the party starts because that's a big chat window right
It is a
there.
big job.
Jen, will you be going through to find all of these emails? Because if we entered it much earlier, will you just go through the whole thing? The whole chat?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'll do the whole chat. So
Thanks.
yeah, that's awesome. That's
There's
awesome.
somebody from Surrey, BC.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Oh, we miss you, Canada. We miss you so much.
We do miss you, Canada. Oh my gosh. My husband and I are supposed to go there to Victoria in December. I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, me neither.
Are
Like
we allowed back in Canada yet?
Not yet.
as students only.
Not yet.
Okay, there you go. I got Carol now. And PJ. All of us with initials represent. I go by JD. So, all right. I will save your chat. And then I'm actually going to, if I stop, I'm going to ignore everybody right now and make sure I have it. Because I don't want to let go of you only to find out I didn't save it.
So we have to send some good wishes to Suzanne. She says, I apologize for not being on video or audio. Looks like I may have COVID, and I promise you, you do not want to see me or hear my voice. Well, good luck to you, Suzanne. Take care.
Take good care. Goodness sakes.
I'm so
Does the
sorry.
party, do we just stay here for the party?
Yeah,
or is it a
just stay
different
here.
Zoom?
Yeah. Okay, good. I have everybody's texts. I love that about Zoom, that I can just download all your texts, your messages.
We can find you.
Also worked really well for the pitch sessions too. So okay, we're good. Phew. I want to see all of you again. There you
Very
are.
cool.
So I do want to say that we have a lot of our volunteers here. Oh my gosh, I forgot to send them the link, but let's just hope they got their newsletter. Sorry, guys. We have a lot of our volunteers here from the conference, and I'm going to tell you, it was such a learning experience for all of us because I had actually anticipated that we wouldn't have as much connection with each other or the agents and editors or the speakers. And I don't know why I thought that. It just felt so weird going from live, the conference being live, to moving it over to digital. And it ended up being such a really big bonding moment for more people than I've ever seen. It was pretty great. I saw some, you know, and it's so important to get to know other writers, and that was happening. It was great. It was a really great experience, and I am so proud of my volunteers.